Alright everyone, I thought I'd do a quick tutorial on how I built my control boxes, how I mounted the pixel controllers and power supplies in the control box. Real simple. I started out, just took some of this clear plexiglass. So you just peel off the plastic, it's nice and clear. Normally I like to use a piece that fills the entire box, but I had a bunch of scraps, and so I'm going to do it out of two separate pieces. So I've already cut them to length. It's really simple. You just score it with a utility knife. Just get a straight edge, score it, and then it just snaps right off. Then I put them inside the box here. And then what I'm going to do is just take a marker and just put a dot on where the mounting holes are. And then, I don't know if you can see it really well. And then I just take and drill out the holes for the screws, because if you try and screw through this, it just cracks and breaks. So I pre-drill these holes, but then the screws go into here and holds it nice and tight. Okay? And then what I'm going to do, so here's the one for the power supply. I'll put it up on top of here. So it sits in here like this. What I'm going to do is flip it upside down, both the power supply and the piece of plexiglass. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to set the plexiglass on top of the power supply. Now on the power supply, as you can see right here, there's these 4 holes that are used for mounting. And what I'll use are just some really short plastic screws. I don't know if you can see it. I really wish I could remember. I want to say it's like 5 millimeters, 6 millimeters. I can't remember. I'll try and look it up here. Anyway, so you're going to fit it on here. Like so. So it's in between the 2 holes that are going to screw it to the bottom. So you have access to those screws. And then again, I just take my marker and mark those 4 holes. The nice thing about using the clear glass is that you can see right through it. It's really easy. Okay? And then I'm going to take and drill out the holes. I don't remember which bit to use. So this is a 11/64 inch hole that I'm drilling for all the screws. Okay? It's really easy. Now the key to this, however, is you have to go slow. If you try and go fast, it'll crack the plexiglass. Alright, so now we've got that taken care of. So again, it's going to sit in here. I'm going to flip it over so I remember. Now I like to put these little washers in between the plexiglass and the power supply. I don't know if it really works or if it really matters or not, but what it does, it keeps a little bit of a gap under there so it's not sitting flat, so it doesn't block the air vents completely. Okay, and I set it on top, and then I just take and screw the plexi to the power supply. Just like that. Now, as you can see, I guess you can't see. It just sits on there. Then this goes back inside the enclosure here. Okay, just like that. And then we're just going to take some short screws. And again, you don't want to do it super tight or it's going to crack the plexiglass. And yes, that is from experience. This works better if you have a magnetic screwdriver, but I lost my screwdriver. Okay, just like that. Now, this is the one for the controller here. Better make sure I do this again the correct way. So it's going to sit in there like this. Okay, here's my power supply. I've already got it pre-wired for the power. So again, I'm going to set it on there. I'm going to set it kind of off to as close to the left-hand side as I can, because this jack right here, that is where the Cat 5 cable goes in. So you're going to want some room in between the wall and here to put that Cat 5 cable. And again, exact same thing. I'm going to flip it over. And mark the mounting holes. And I'm just going to double check, because now I'm questioning whether or not I did that right. I did. Okay. So again, okay. So then, same thing, just I use the same bigger bit. The reason being is so give me a little bit more room in case I miss it just a little. All right. Now, I'm just going to do one more test. Make sure I put it in the right spot, because I don't want to put the controller in upside down. I have to start over. Okay. So it's sitting in the box like this. Now I have these little, I don't know if you can see them really well, these column risers. What it is, it comes with a little screw, a little nut, and the column riser. Okay. Now you can do this one of two ways. I've done this where I've stood them up on there like this, screwed the screw in the bottom, and then I used the nut to bolt the controller down. Sometimes on these controllers, in here where the holes are, I'm trying to get a good shot right there, it gets really tight against the other components. So I'm going to try this time around and put the screw going down and see if it's a little bit easier to get those on there. And it's really easy. These aren't, you don't need special tools or pliers or anything. You can just get them on there finger tight and they're going to hold just fine. And if you try and use tools anyway, you probably tighten it too much and bend and mangle all the plastic. Okay, so now I've got all the risers on there. Now Now the tricky part to get it to mount up, looks like I hit those pretty close. It looks like this bottom one's off just a little bit. Again, these are very small workspaces. Okay, there we go. Got that one. And again, you don't need to cinch it down for potentially bending the plastic. Okay, so now we got that mounted on. Trying to get it, not the best light down here, but okay. So now you can go ahead and screw this into the box as well. Now, I don't know if you can notice very well in there. So because this isn't one big sheet, there's not enough room to get 4 screws in the plate for the power supply. I'm actually overlapping this one on top of it just a little bit to help hold that one down. Where you have one plate, you won't have that issue. So take and screw down this plate just like we did the other one. Again, you don't want to over tighten, otherwise you will crack. Okay, so now we have that. Now I put a 30 amp or 28 amp, depends on what I have, fuse in here, so it doesn't overpower or short out any of the board or any of the lights. And it just goes, actually before we do that one, I have found it's easier to run the power line, or the plug, I should say. Get this off here. Okay, so this is a 16 gauge cord. Pull out the rubber foam there. Okay, just goes into the bottom of the box. Now, I use this little wire pincher. It's a 1/2 inch around the cord, around the cable. I'll try and get a close up here in just a second. But what this does is it allows me to pinch this down so that if I were to yank on the cord here, it won't pull on the wires inside the box. Good right there. Now I always try and pre-cinch it just a little bit because it's hard to get the screwdriver in there once this is in. And again, you don't want to over tighten. So on here, on the power supply, there's three screws that these screw into. You have your load, your neutral, and your ground. So your load being your black, your neutral being the white, and your ground being the green wire. Neutral. Reload. Okay. And this tricky part. right there. Let's see if I can lift it up a little bit so you can see. Right there, that just sits in between. There's two little plastic between the wall. The plastic sits right there. Can't pull it out. Okay. So now that that's in there, now we take the positive that goes to the controller board. We have a little screws. First ones here. These terminal blocks are just a hair short, but they work just fine. And then I just took a chunk of spare wire that I had for the negative. And it connects onto here. To the negative terminal on the power supply. Now this is on the output side, not on the main AC power. Okay, so now we've got the power connected in there. That's basically it. Now we're ready for your connectors to the outputs on each controller. Now, oh man, now I'm forgetting the name of these things. They've got these waterproof pigtails. There's 4 wires in there. Most Pixels only need 3, but I've also got these because I also have some dumb RGB that require the 4. Basically what you do, you take one end of this, comes through the bottom of the box, and then these just screw into the wire terminals and then out to your lights. And the other end of the pigtail, you just solder onto your strand of lights and away you go. These are nice because again they're just plug. You just plug in, screw them on, they're watertight, they're good. I also made some of these. It's just a little jumper. And I used some spade terminals on here, some waterproof ones. I have the male end and the female end. These I use a lot for when I'm doing a lot of testing and need some quick connects, because these are a little bit quicker, whereas these tend to be a little more permanent because you've got to solder on the ends of the wire. Anyway, so again, for me this just goes into the connector, this goes out to the lights, to my testing cable I've got. So that's basically it in a nutshell. It's fairly simple to do, fairly cheap. These boxes are nice because they are waterproof. You can mount them, hang them however you need to. And again, if you need to get to the power supply, just undo a couple screws, pop that right out. Same thing with the controllers. There's plenty of room. Anyway, hopefully this was helpful for some of you that are out there trying to figure out how to mount some of your power supplies and your controllers. Yeah, thanks for watching.